Hey, what's up everyone? Today's video we're finally going to tackle some of the wiring that's in this Dodge Dakota RT. I mentioned it in a previous video and showed you guys that there is a bunch of random wiring, hack job wiring that we're going to try to clean up. So I got my dad here with me and we're going to mess with it for a bit and see what we can come up with, start taking out some of that wiring and get everything straightened out. Alright, so we got both doors open. We're going to try and tackle it before the heat gets too crazy. So here's some of the wiring that I showed you guys in the last video. We have these RCAs that went to the amp. We have a positive power lead coming from the battery that we disconnected. This thing here, this is just brutal. Whoever was running these wires, I'm pretty sure this goes to a rear backup camera, which that deck doesn't even work, but they decided to just run it through that hole. So I'm probably gonna chop that and remove that since we're just going back to the basics. These wires here, they seem to have ran wires to the actual speaker since there's a little speaker in here. So I guess they tried to bypass the original wiring, but they didn't even do that good of a job, because if you look at the same wire there that goes across, they just tied it back into like smaller wiring. So they used heavier gauge wiring to go back into smaller gauge wiring, and hopefully this isn't the factory wire that they chopped somewhere along the way that I have to tie back in, but we'll start doing some digging and figure it out. Also, here's somebody in the comments mentioned that this thing that says Chrysler Corporation is a factory amplifier. They chopped these two wires. I'm not sure what these two wires do, but we'll reconnect them and hopefully everything comes back. But I don't know, I guess still have to take out this stereo, and I'm hoping the original factory pigtail harness is there. I could maybe do it right now and just pop this out. Like, look, they didn't even fasten the stereo, like it's just sitting here. So let me set the camera down, start taking some of the stuff out, figure out what the heck they did, and try to clean all this junk up. So I just popped out this panel here, and it's just held in by a series of kind of these Christmas tree speed clips. But here's what's going on. So this wire is running to the speaker, which I'm laughing because it's sitting in here. It's not even fastened. It's just literally hanging here. And I don't even know if it's still connected, but here's the speaker, and then here's the factory wiring just dangling there. So I don't know what the heck they were trying to do, but the speaker, I mean, there's no way, they didn't even have it connected or screwed in anywhere. Like, it should have been somehow fixed there, but it was just dumped in laying in here. Actually, these are pretty good speakers. These are Alpine Type S. So it should sound pretty good in here if we got everything to work, but I don't know what the heck's going on with this crazy wiring. Now, like I said, I'm not looking for competition type stereo. If anything, we're gonna go fast with this truck, so I'll just reuse the factory wiring. That should give plenty of sound without needing to run all this extra wire. I know it's not adding a ton of weight, but I want to try to keep the truck as light as possible. So let me see, keep doing my investigation. I don't know what the heck this is, some sort of sound deadening that looks like a garbage bag. And we'll see what's on that side and start getting rid of some of this junk. So same deal on this side. They managed to get it hanging by one screw, which I guess was probably the situation before, but it's just bouncing and dangling here. Same deal. I think the factory wiring, is the factory wiring here? I don't know where the factory wire is here that leads to this, but he's got this, or he or she or whoever did this has this one running directly. There should be a factory wire. Oh, here it is. There it is. So there's the factory wire that goes to the speaker. It's chopped, and I'm probably going to run that. But I do want to do, before I start getting too crazy, is continue to pop this off, pull out this deck that doesn't seem to work, the head unit, and see what they did with the wiring back there. I'm praying that they didn't chop the factory harness so that I could just get a stock stereo or redo it easily. But let's get this off and we'll find out what's going on. Okay, so I removed this bezel. Sorry I didn't film that, but we were running out of hands. We had to put the, what's this thing screaming at? We had to put the gear selector down so that we could pull this off. This thing's just held in by a series of quick speed clips. So not much to see there. We just kind of yanked it off. But we did have to put this down to get it out, so we were kind of limited on hands for both of us. But anyways, that's out. It's only held in by this one screw, so let me grab a Phillips and remove this. This is what's going on with it. Just if you guys are wondering why I'm removing this thing, is I don't know what's going on. There's a button busted off of it. It thinks it's in reverse. There should be a wire that's running somewhere either under the dash, or if they're really lazy, they ran all the way to a tail light to pick up the reverse. so that it knows when it's in reverse to get to the camera, switch to the camera, but it thinks it's in reverse mode and it's stuck. Also, the button's missing off, so that's why I was just thinking of replacing it with something either stock or if I can find a cheap one to put back in here. But even whatever they did with this, like I popped this off and the friggin' vent just flew out of here, so I think that looks busted if you ask me. But that's supposed to be there, and they did this super poor cheesy job of cutting this out, so I want to do something a little bit cleaner, or for now, since we're focusing on performance, just get rid of this, find a stock bezel, find a stock stereo, and that'll be good enough for me for now. But anyways, let me grab this, pull that out, we'll see what we got. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how bad it is back here. Woo! Look at all that. I think they may have at least done us one favor and kept the original harness in there. I see it. Okay, good. So they didn't completely screw us over. We got the factory harness and then their junk connected to it. And we'll start getting rid of this. This is the auxiliary cable. Man, they just hacked this stuff up. So see this? This is one of the speakers, and I think if I were to guess, it goes to that wire over there. If I tug on this, yeah, see, look. This is how they're going straight from this to over there, and like, look how silly these people were. So they went from super tiny gauge to maybe slightly bigger gauge to big heavy gauge, and they thought that was an improvement. They should have just left it go through the factory harness, which would have been the same gauge, and they wouldn't have had this ugly wiring. So yeah, that's coming out. What else we got? This one, oh, here we go. So you see how this tag here says reverse gear signal input, which is this red wire. If I clip this, let's see if the stereo comes back at least, because this is what's thinking that it's in reverse. So let me get some cutters. We'll clip this reverse gear signal input wherever they're trying to get it from. Is it this? So actually, remember I was joking around? See this wire? Oh, you guys are gonna laugh. So this connected with this bean to here, which is connected to this wire, same wire, another bean, and then this wire goes all the way down here through this hole to the tail light, just so they could pick up the reverse signal. So these guys really didn't know what the heck they were doing. Anyways, let me clip this and it should bring our stereo back, unless the stereo is completely screwed. Okay, so here we go. So it says image may be reversed. This is the wire I was telling you about. Let's chop it. No buenos. So it's still doing the same thing, so I think this thing is just screwed at this point. So this was the wire that they were running to the back tail light to get their reverse input, but it doesn't seem to change what's going on here. So oh well, no big deal. Let's start disconnecting this crap and getting all this ugly wiring out of here. All right, so I'm just gonna remove all these clips and wires. Like I said, we tried to get the stereo back after we disconnected that reverse pickup, but it's still not working. So luckily the factory wiring is here. So hopefully I'm just gonna find like a cheap factory stereo for now for 20 bucks. We'll do it that way, but I'm just gonna rip out all these wires. Nothing too much to see here. And we will deal with all this. All right, she's free. Here goes the red power wire for the amp. We're just pulling it back out through the firewall from under the hood. So that junk is out of there. So we still haven't investigated the relays yet, but we have most of the wiring out here. This wire, like I showed you guys in the last video, is coming from those relays, so I'm gonna have to investigate that in a moment. We have this mostly all cleaned up, so we're pretty good here. We just got the factory wire harness starting to look a little cleaner. Down here, I think I showed you guys there's this weird toggle switch here. And this, I think that was just a toggle switch to turn off that subwoofer that they had in here, because it just went and I killed the power to that sub. So that was just some custom switch they used to turn the sub on and off. And let me show you guys. So these are still, this is going to the reverse cam back there. And if you go underneath here, I found a host of other random wiring. So they got this junk over here. So I'm gonna unravel all this crap. And you can see these two wires that I just showed you coming from inside the cab. So I'm gonna remove all of this crap. It's actually, they have a decent little setup here. So it actually plugs into the factory taillight bulb. And it's a nice little unit, but I gotta get rid of all that junk. Also, see this red wire and blue wire? I think at some point the truck had a bed cap on it, because I have all this wiring up here too. So, and this red wire, this one here, runs all the way back to here off the battery. So I'm gonna clip it, pull that red wire out. I don't need it anymore, and the wiring nonsense and cleaning up continues. So here's the connection from that camera to the extensions. All this junk wiring that goes back to the cab, we're gonna cut it, rip it out. So there's all that junk wiring removed from the reverse camera. Over here, we'll pull it out through here. So that junk can now be removed. And if we go back over here again, this blue wire that's over here, so there's blue wire, a black wire, I'm assuming is ground, and the red one that I showed you goes to the front. And if you come back down here, this blue one is here, and the end of it goes to here, which is disconnected from whatever that may have been at some point. So I don't know what factory wire that is, but it's not connected anymore. So let's cut those, yank it up. So this red wire is not even fused, which is kind of funny. So for now, I'm just gonna clip it from here. I'll redo all this afterwards, but we'll remove this. This is the red one that, like I said, runs all the way to the back. Some sort of hack job wiring. Usually you want to fuse something like this in case somewhere along the way it ends up touching the frame, or you never know, but apparently that was not a concern in this install. Yeah, there's some more wire ties I gotta pull out. So let me chop those and we'll yank this out. Well, there is this 100-foot long red wire. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it out of here very smoothly, but I'll probably chop it here and pull it down actually. And there's the blue. Here's the red. All right, those two are out. The black one that's over here, I believe is just gonna be connected inside the taillight. So I'll have to remove the taillight because I looked underneath, I didn't see it grounded anywhere on the chassis, so they probably connected it behind the taillight. So we got rid of most of the wiring. I just snipped the reds out of here. Like I said, I'm gonna redo this terminal afterwards, but at least all the crappy wiring is out. We also still have the alarm system, some sort of, I don't know what brand alarm, but here's the siren from it. So I gotta be careful with this one because I don't wanna cut and remove stuff and there's ignition stuff bypassed. And then we won't be able to start the truck, which wouldn't be good. So we have this amazing wiring job all wrapped up in 10 pounds of electrical tape, and this is my next mystery. I don't know if I'm gonna fully solve this one today, but if you guys can do this without making you guys dizzy, if you look underneath here, we got a whole stuff. We got wires tapped in. This pink one is cut, goes through the relay before it comes back into there, and then this red one goes up here and near the steering column. So I'm gonna remove this panel, see what we're dealing with. We also have this that still runs over there to behind somewhere, and I gotta figure out what that is doing. So it might be a bigger mystery than we can get involved in today. Here's some sort of ground wire tapped in. So this dash panel just has 3 screws. I'm missing one of them, but Phillips, or it looks like 8mm or 5/16 would get them out. Should just be some speed clips across the top. And then we're into whatever the heck alarm system somebody has installed and cut ignition wires, and just a whole bundle of joy in here. Anti-theft alarm system. So yeah, it's definitely going to be tapped into our ignition system here. But this one is probably going to require, actually I know it's going to require us disconnecting the battery because it's the main ignition system. Literally they put 2 of these spade clips onto a fuse. I can get that for you. Let's see. I'll get it better afterwards. But look, there's 2 spade clips onto an actual fuse with tape wrapped around it. Like, can you imagine, you guys, driving down the road or going on a road trip and that fuse fails and you're trying to find this thing under the dash? Like, that's just stupidity. Why would you ever do that? So this is why we're going through this thing, you guys. Tons of mysteries, years of hack job wiring that we're gonna remove. And you guys can see, like, this blue with the yellow stripe or tracer is going into this relay, and we're gonna have to reconnect and join the factory wiring. Okay, so see this wire here? I think we're gonna just try and tackle ripping this junk out. Holy crap, I just noticed that. I don't know if you guys can see that hole, but the grommet is completely missing going into the firewall in the cab. But just side note, we're gonna chop this wire or just even yank it. And that goes to the alarm. So we can go ahead and pull the brown wire right here. And this one is going to that alarm. So there we go. The siren is down. And I'm actually gonna disconnect the battery because I don't feel comfortable with these ignition wires with having the battery connected. So we'll start yanking all this stuff out. So we got John Sr. in here on the wrenches, and he is removing that factory unit. And because this wire is behind it, and it goes to these relays like I was showing you guys, and I want to find out what it's connecting to before we start getting rid of more
junk. There's gonna be a top one.
All right, hack job wiring, episode 342. This wire comes to here before it goes to the door, and we have to reconnect it to that. So let's get rid of that thing, put it to there. Like I think my buddy and some other people mentioned that those relays run the door locks, power door locks most likely. So we'll reconnect it, get rid of this junk. So we're tinning the wires right now on each side if he doesn't burn himself. And then we're gonna connect the two. And we've restored the OEM connection. Too bad I don't have an OEM remote, but I guess we can try to do that next. We'll put this back in, and then we can put our bolts back in, but I still gotta connect these two, I believe, as well. All right, so my dad's actually gonna solder those wires that you guys saw on that box over there, the ones that were disconnected. So he's gonna solder those, heat shrink them. At the same time over here, I'm gonna start disconnecting some of this junk, these wire taps. Hopefully the truck still starts afterwards. We're gonna have to solder these two connections together, that blue wire. We gotta get rid of this fuse junk that's in here. And there's a bunch of stuff down here. So this red wire goes down to here, into this rat's nest. There's another wire tap here. There's just all sorts of junk that I'm gonna have to do. There's a pink wire that's cut that I think I was showing you guys that has to be spliced. All sorts of fun. So I'm gonna start removing some of that, and we'll see where we end up. All right, I'm out, I'm free. So it wasn't too bad. I just have this one wire that we need to reconnect. We'll solder that one around the ignition area, and then I have this pink one that needs to be soldered back together as well. So we'll solder those two. Now I have all this junk here. There's all that alarm. And we already disconnected the horn over here, but I'm just gonna remove the horn with these Phillips screws. Junk. More junk. All right, so we switched sides. My dad's over there. He's heat shrinking those two wires, or he's soldering and heat shrinking them. Over here, he has done these two connections with the heat shrink. So I'm gonna go ahead and torch these. Probably could use a heat gun, which I have, but this seems to be way easier. So let me get those heat shrinked. We can plug this box back in. While he finishes soldering that stuff, I found something else that I can mess with. I don't know where that used to go, but since we're cleaning everything up, let's remove this fuse box. And we'll remove this nut and get rid of this fused power that's going nowhere. Okay, so we got all those wires fixed. We got over here on the dash, that one soldered, and the one down below, which I do have to plug back in. And then we can try to see if this thing will start. All right, so that's good. We got this plugged back in and soldered. I gotta reconnect my battery since we decided to disconnect that. Again, I'm gonna clean this up, so don't get mad at me for leaving this like that for now. I'll tighten the battery connection back up, and we'll turn the key. Battery connection's back on, so let's go over here. We should have power in here. I'll grab my key. Turn it to on. Let's see if the door locks work. Lock. Oh, I don't think it'll let you lock with the door open anyway, so I won't get too scared just yet. Let's see if it starts. So we've got ignition. That all works. I don't know what else we really need to check. It runs. If we close the door, I think as much as I don't want to get in this sweat box, we should be able to check the door locks. Let's get rid of that wire. Yeah, so door locks work. So we're good, except now I'm stuck in here. I gotta fix this damn door handle. So this is the problem. You gotta let me out. This door handle doesn't work, and unless I put the window down, I can't get out. I'm free. Okay, so I think that's gonna be pretty much what we're gonna do for today. We got rid of a ton of wiring. Here's the pile of junk that we took out. And we do have to get a stereo, order some sort of stereo. I haven't decided what yet. Might just try to get like a $10 factory one for now, and a new bezel, and probably put these speakers back in, but we'll reconnect them to the factory wiring. All will be in another video, but for now, we got rid of all the junk and all the clutter. All right, guys, so that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. We got rid of a ton of clutter and wiring from the truck, so we can almost get to a point where we can start fixing things up. I've just been trying to get this truck all sorted out. We got it cleaned up. We got the underneath the hood cleaned. We got the exterior somewhat clean, and we can start trying to improve things now that we've kind of got a decent baseline. So stereo is not really a priority, but I at least wanted to get rid of all the junk wires, and we can start kind of making this thing a little nicer. Anyways, if you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and if you're stopping in the channel for the first time, check out the other videos. We've already covered a lot of ground on this thing, but this new project truck, we're going to be doing a lot more on the channel, so we'll see you in the next one.